I am extremely honored and privileged to be here today. And really, the theme of my presentation isn't rebuilding a nation through wireless communications. The theme that I want to go through with you today is, are you making a difference? And I want you to ask yourself the question because the Seed Fund, the Legatum Center, for me, I'm honored to be even invited and associated with this venture, if I may call it that, because its concept is to make a difference. And I hope that through my presentation, I'm going to be the pilot today. I'm going to take you on a journey to a country all of you really want to go to, I know. You're dying to go there. So instead of taking you there, I'm bringing it to you. So I'm the pilot. I'm going to try and do this in 30 minutes and land you safely back in MIT so that you have a feel for what Afghanistan is all about and what we're doing. So let me start. Who is Roshan? Roshan is a telephone company in Afghanistan. I'll go through it in a little while. Now, AgFed, which is the for-profit arm of the Afghan Development Agency, is the part that we teach the people to use the fishing rod so that they can sustain their livelihoods. And what we have as a requirement is that typically the difference between us and a normal investor is that we will take a much longer view. We will also develop in projects that other companies will not look at. But once we've ticked the development box and we've gone into a venture, we then have to be best in class and make a profit. So we're not shy about making that profit because that money then goes back into our agencies so that we can keep a sustainable loop. So let me give an example. When we put the business plan together for Roshan, we were looking at 150,000 subscribers in 5 years with a $50 million investment and with an IRR of 15%. Okay, as I go through the story, you'll see that's been blown out of the water and you'll understand that that no longer exists. When I landed in Kabul, unless you were very rich, if you wanted to make a phone call, you had to walk 700 kilometers to the nearest country because there was no telephony system at all in Afghanistan. There was only sat phones, and they were charging $12 a minute, and you had to pay $3,000 for the phone. There's one cellular phone company which was charging you $500 for the handset, and $12 a minute and $3 for local calls. And you had to bribe their salespeople to even see you. You would have to wait in a queue for about 5 days to get a cell phone. So that's what it was like. Yes, there were still remnants of the old Soviet times there. And that's me on a trip to Mazar. And it was very common to see tanks. I was once invited to an orchard for a picnic, and in that 120-foot square area, my friend and I found about 34 incendiary devices. So if you take all the landmines in the world together and add them together, we have more landmines in Afghanistan. So if somebody says to you, is there copper wire in the ground, or are you going to build fiber optic in Afghanistan, I just smile. I'm just giving you some ideas because I think you need to understand the backdrop to the country. So, what do? You've got this $12 billion of aid coming in at the top, going to these ministers. I won't tell you what happened to it. You've got this $9 billion macro economy going on, and you're trying to start up a business with no electricity, no roads, half the country run by the Taliban, no banks. You try and hire staff, if they can spell, you're lucky. Oh, by the way, 70% of the people are illiterate. So my CTO, when we were trying to hire people, we put out an ad, 10,000 people applied for a job, for an engineer. After about a week, he came back to me, pulled all his hair out, and he came, this tall guy, and he said, Karim, we have a problem. And I said, what's the problem, Eric? We have lots of problems. Tell me what your problem is today. And he said, we're going to choose engineers and we're going to do it a different way. I said, okay, what's the different way? He says, if they can open up a PC, switch it on, and speak English, we're going to hire them. That was our engineers. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, today you come to Roshan, and this young lady's been there, and you come to our network control center, you come to our call center, you will find not one single expat. It's those 16 engineers we chose who could speak English and open a PC that today run a $250 million network nationwide. Have we pulled out our hair? Have I gone grey? I was 6'4" when I went. I'm about 5'3" now. Hey, don't get personal, guys. Come on. All right? But those are some of the challenges. One of the things about AgFed is we encourage best practice. So even though we won the license in 2003, in our license we brought best practice, and we said to the government, please, after 3 years, put in that there will be, under the Telecom Act, that there will be some more competition that you'll bring into the country. And they looked at us and said, we're giving you a license and you don't want the exclusivity? And we said, no. Because this is not about us making money. This is about encouraging development and foreign direct investment into Afghanistan. That was a brave move. The day that Etisalat and MTN came to Afghanistan, I was wishing I'd never done that. And they took market share from us. But today, we have reversed that. We're increasing our market share, and competition is good. I'm going to focus on social entrepreneurship because I think it's important. So here's a good example. In Roshan, we have a very strong corporate social responsibility program. All of you know Bamiyan, yes? One of the most poorest parts of Afghanistan. Absolutely the poorest parts of Afghanistan. So what do? So we use money from our corporate social responsibility. We built 2 base stations there. Here's what technology, so you guys sitting here at MIT think, inventing these things, think doesn't make a difference. It makes a huge difference. Look at the difference it made. By putting communications there, Bamiyan used to be a local agricultural bazaar. With communications coming back, the bazaar started opening up again on a Friday, which is our Sabbath. So the bazaar came back. With the bazaar coming back, the Ministry of Agriculture decided that since all the farmers were coming to this bazaar, they would open the agricultural college again in Bamiyan. And with that was a small hospital. So it started to attract the farmers' wives and their children because it was a small hospital. And so it got taken over by an NGO, and then finally the Afghan University came and took over the hospital. With that came the fact that now there was a thriving community, and so the Afghan University Hospital decided to open a midwifery and a nursing school. With that came the fact that there was a returning Afghan who saw the potential of having this now world-famous Buddhas there and opened the rooftop of the World Hotel, which is not as exotic as it sounds. Trust me, I've been to the toilets in the back. Okay? But he then started doing extreme tourism and brought in people from around the world. Our ARPU went up significantly because these people were bringing in their AT&T phones and we were charging them $5 a minute. So the business case for those base stations, which were never returned in 5 years, suddenly paid themselves back in 8 months. So social responsibility, does it result in economic viability? I present you a real case, which we've measured and kept statistics of. Banking in Afghanistan, I talked to you about that. 90% of Afghans do not have access to banking, or the traditional banking as we know it. Yet what's very interesting is that 7 million people put money into their phones every day, right? Because there's 3 million of ours and 4.1 million of our competitors. They're used to this. They're happy to do it. They trust the phone. I'll give you another statistic. In the last 6 months, $30 million of cash in transit robberies have occurred. Because you have to move cash, physically move cash around. When people get paid in Kabul and they go down south to Ghazni, there are checkpoints where the Taliban know that on a Friday they get paid, or a Thursday night they get paid, and they'll have additional checkpoints and rob them of their money. So there's a great opportunity here. There is an informal system of moving money called the Hawala system, but you know, you'll go and give this money to a guy you don't know. You'll pray to God that he doesn't charge you more than 20%, and you'll hope that in 7 days that money gets to your home. And in most cases it does. But it's a pretty hefty price to pay. By the way, there are no ATMs, so if you come to Afghanistan, you'll have to bring a whole bunch of cash with you. There are only 7 ATMs, and they're from the local banks, so you won't be able to do that. Also, if you want to disperse microfinance loans, and there's a lot of NGOs that do, you physically have to carry cash as a loan officer, whichever village you go to. And when you go there, you have to collect cash, so it's completely a cash society. So we saw a great opportunity, and with Vodafone, we launched a product called M-Pesa. Unlike Vodafone in East Africa, in Kenya, we focused on 4 vertical areas. The first one we started with was in loan repayment for microfinance agencies, and we launched this product a year ago. And we learned some lessons. What are the lessons we learned? We learned that when you have 70% of illiterate people, don't ask them to try and fill in an SMS form on their phone as a mobile bank, because they're not going to be able to do it. They'll say they can, but they can't do it. So we had to make it voice interactive. Secondly, you have to make sure that you have cash in and cash out points, because it's fine to say to somebody who's used to a cash society, hey, we're going to turn it into electronic money, but how do they get their hands on the cash and how do they give the cash? So you have to get a distribution system nationwide, even in a place like Spin Boldak where they think Osama bin Laden is hiding. Imagine we could do a $25 million cashless transaction if we caught him. Okay? So these were some of the challenges. And the other challenge, which my friend Michael here, and you can tell he's a lecturer at Harvard Business School, who said to me today, how do you manage the float with great difficulties? How do you make sure these people always have the right amount of cash when customer comes in, and how do you give it out? We are grappling with these challenges. We don't have all the answers, but since we've relaunched in October with the voice recognition system so people can actually use it, we have got 20,000 customers already using this mobile banking system. We have all the MFIs lined up to want to go on it, and we are using it for payroll, or we're about to test it for payroll for police officers and the Afghan National Army. So we think that, that this is a great product and it's going to do very well for us. And by the way, one of the things we know about the credit crunch here in the United States, when people don't give each other money, the world comes to a stop. So imagine in Afghanistan, there's no money flowing. We believe that this will cause money to flow and will create entrepreneurs. By the way, the Afghans are superb entrepreneurs. So if we can give them the chance and we can give them the money and we can give them a way to succeed from the bottom up, we think there's a way forward. So we are Afghanistan's new light, we are hope, and we must not give up, because what you do here gives me hope. It gives my staff hope. We have had interns from MIT, from Harvard. Some of the technology that you develop helps us. So please understand what you're doing. And this seed money that you give, it's vitally important. For me, the reason I spent a lot of my personal time to come here and talk at Legatum is because I believe in what you guys are doing. Because really you are the inspiration to some of us that are working in Afghanistan. So I just wanted to leave you with a couple of quotes. And I hope I've given you a good journey and have landed you safely. But please, don't give up. And think of what you can do to make our lives better. Thank you very much.